No one wants to follow a Pharisee. No one wants to follow a Pharisee. What is a Pharisee? In leadership, right, back in the biblical days, there were two types of leaders. Well, there were two types of religious leaders, at least. One type of religious leader was a Pharisee. A Pharisee in the dictionary is distinguished by strict observance of the traditional law and has superior sanctity. Sounds like an amazing leader. I mean, they just do everything by the law. They're perfect. They've got no flaws, right? They're just doing everything right. A second definition in the dictionary of a Pharisee is a self-righteous person, a hypocrite, because we are humans and we are flawed and no one is perfect. Would you agree? I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We're all not perfect because we are humans. And back in the day, Adam and Eve, they ate the apple and the rest was history, right? We became imperfect from that moment. And in the biblical days, the Pharisees would go around judging others. You know, they were so perfect in their following the laws of certain things that the spiritual laws, the biblical laws, the scriptural laws, that when others wouldn't live up to those standards, people would feel judged by them. And they're known for judging others. And Jesus said in Matthew 7, verse 3, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? In other words, when you start pointing the finger at other people, what do you got? We got three fingers pointing right back at us, right? And so we want to be careful that we are not quick to judge others because nobody wants to follow a Pharisee. Jesus encourages us to live a life of giving grace to others, forgiving people for their shortcomings, looking inside of ourselves before we start pointing blame outside. So today's leadership lesson is don't be a Pharisee because nobody wants to follow one. Pharisees point out wrongs. Nobody wants to follow someone who's pointing out all of your wrongdoings. No one wants to follow someone who's saying you're not doing this enough, or you're not working hard enough, or you're not good enough. I'm perfect and you need to be perfect. Nobody likes that kind of a leader. I want to encourage you today to lead like Jesus. Someone who says, I see you. I see you for who you are. I forgive you. I see you trying and I believe in you. I'm not perfect, so I don't expect you to be perfect. Forgive me for my shortcomings as I try to lead you, and I'll forgive you for your shortcomings as we work together in our relationship, and I'll be patient with you. And we also have to learn how to forgive ourselves. Leading others starts with leading ourselves. And a lot of the times we need to not be the judge of ourselves. We are so hard on ourselves sometimes. And what Jesus did was he spoke encouragement and not discouragement into people's lives. Focus on being interested in others instead of worrying about trying to be interesting to others. Someone shared a really great tip. I want to give a shout out to Jessica Roberts. I was at a seminar a month ago, and she was sharing how she gets a lot of her customers from social media. And everyone's like, Jessica, what are you posting? You know, you're on fire on social media. What are you doing? She's like, it's not what I'm posting. She's like, in fact, I don't really try to post. I post my life because I'm sharing, like, you know, my life. She's like, but it's not what I post. It's that I focus on being interested in other people. I focus on liking and commenting on their posts because maybe I'm the only person that liked and commented their posts, and they felt like no one out there sees me. No one out there is listening to me, and just showing up in people's lives and being the most positive person that you could be. So I want to leave you with this. Our job as a leader is to be the most positive and encouraging person in their lives. That's our job. Our number one job is to be the most positive and encouraging people in your team's lives. And they will follow you to the end. They will want to answer your call. Have you ever gotten a phone call from someone and their name shows up on your caller ID and you're like, oh no, I do not have time for this. This is like, one of those energy drainers, the people that like suck all the energy out of you because everything is just so negative and complaining, and they're a leaner, not a lifter. They're a loader, not a lifter. I know you know those people. Well, what do people see when they see our names show up on their caller ID? Do they want to answer our phone call? Do they know it's going to be a positive experience, or do they think that it's going to be a painful experience? So we want to show up in people's lives and be the most positive, encouraging person, because you'll have people that join your team and join your business, and people that will come into your life that you lead. My husband leads men in a program at church, and he's considered a sponsor. And so when he sponsors people, he was just saying to me last night, he's like, it's the same thing in this business. It's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in any type of sponsorship relationship. And in this particular, it's a food program. He's helping people with a food program, and he's volunteering for free. He's, this is free coaching, right? That's $1 million coaching, but he's giving it for free. And he's sponsoring these people, and they just disappear. They disappear. He's reaching out to them. He's doing his part, but they're not answering the phone, or they're not doing what he's prescribing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you lead people, you have to be willing to give and to not expect anything in return. It's just like we love our children, we feed our children without really expecting anything in return. Of course, we want them to love us back, of course, but we do it because we love them. We give without expecting anything in return. And when it comes to leadership, people will come in and out of our businesses and in and out of our lives for either a reason, a season, short moment, or for a long time. But our job is just to do our part. You can't control what they do or don't do. Sorry, someone's calling my phone. Okay, we can't control what they do or what they don't do. We can only do our part. Right, Debbie? Debbie had somebody that went all crazy. Like days after he got started and trained, right? He just went nuts. But we're like, you know what? You did your part. You reached out to him 5 times after helping, and then he just decided to just be woohoo, right? So that's just business. It's not you. Okay, it's people. And so the second job as a leader is to teach our team how to always find customers to talk to if you're a sales leader. So our job is to teach people where to always find customers and how to, do you have a marketing plan this week? Do you have a business plan this week? That's my question to people when they call me sometimes and they're lost. I'm like, well, what's your marketing plan for this week? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, where are you going to find customers to talk to? What's your plan? Are you scheduled to show up at a networking meeting? Are you going to be meeting new people at networking meetings this week? Are you going to be, on social media? Are you striking up conversations? Are you going to be intentionally working your list of prospects? What's the goal? Are you working leads? What's your marketing plan? Having that conversation brings strength. And so if you just do those 2 things when you're leading your team, number one, just being the most positive, encouraging person, because as long as you did your part, they will always come back. I have a saying, they will always come back as long as you don't burn the bridge, as long as you don't make it a painful experience and tell them you're not doing enough, or you're not showing up consistently enough, and you're not, they're not going to want to take your call. But if you're always just positive, loving, supportive, you're the number one cheerleader in their life. You're like, you love them unconditionally, no matter what. They can do no wrong. They will always feel like it's a safe place to come home. Just like the prodigal son comes home to the father after he messed up. He went out on his own to live in the real world. He messed up. He wasted all of his resources. He partied. He did all these things, but he came home and the father welcomed him with open arms. So go out and be the best leader that you can be today and love and empower others with your words.